In 1969, four working-class teenagers from the smog-choked streets of Birmingham, England, walked into a small recording studio with no manager and almost no money. What transpired during that singular, grueling day would eventually terrify the world and spark decades of accusations regarding a secret pact with the devil. They were just ordinary boys looking for an escape from the relentless grind of the iron factories. But the sounds they captured on tape were anything but ordinary. It was a sonic earthquake that would get them banned from churches and labeled as outcasts by polite British society. Before the infamy, their name wasn't actually Black Sabbath. They started as a simple blues outfit called Earth, a name that felt boring and forgettable to the members. They were struggling to find a unique voice in an era dominated by the peace and love movement of the 60s. Everything shifted in 1968 when guitarist Tony Iommi noticed a peculiar sight outside a cinema. People were lining up around the entire city block just to see a Boris Karloff horror film. It was a revelation that would spark the birth of a terrifying new musical genre. Iommi turned to the band and asked the question that changed music forever. Why do we only make music that makes people feel good? Why not music that makes people feel afraid? This daring philosophy emerged from a man who had nearly lost everything due to a tragic accident. Only days before he was meant to quit music forever, Iommi lost the tips of 2 fingers in a heavy factory machine. Rather than giving up, he fashioned homemade prosthetics from melted plastic bottles and lowered the tension of his strings, creating the heaviest sound the world ever heard. Their eponymous lead song opens with the tritone, famously known as Diabolus in Musica, or the Devil's Interval. In the Middle Ages, this dissonant sound was strictly banned by the Catholic Church because it was believed to possess the power to summon literal evil into the earthly realm. As they recorded, Ozzy Osbourne claimed an icy supernatural presence filled the small studio. The air grew thin and cold, as if something from another dimension had been invited in by the vibration of their instruments. They weren't just playing music anymore. They were invoking a presence. Bassist Geezer Butler had been deep in the study of the occult, reading the works of Aleister Crowley and decorating his room with inverted symbols. One night, he awoke to find a tall, dark figure standing at the foot of his bed, watching him in total silence. Terrified, Butler removed all the occult items the next morning. The band began wearing large silver crosses around their necks, not for the sake of fashion or a rebellious image, but because they genuinely believed they needed spiritual protection from the dark forces they had seemingly unleashed. The shadow of misfortune followed them for decades. Drug addiction and alcoholism nearly claimed Ozzy's life repeatedly, while financial ruin and internal betrayals tore the original lineup apart. Many fans wondered if the price of their fame was a curse that would never truly let them go. Even at their lowest points, the music endured. Their influence spread like a wildfire across the globe, birthing icons like Metallica and Slipknot. Every heavy metal musician today acknowledges the truth. Without the heavy, distorted blues of the Birmingham Four, the entire genre simply would not exist. Was it a genuine connection to the darkness? Or were they just kids who understood that fear is a powerful human emotion? To this day, the band members remain cautious. Tony Iommi still wears his cross, and Geezer Butler refuses to discuss the entity in his room. The Devil's Interval, once a forbidden sequence of notes, is now the bedrock of a global culture. It is the sound of rebellion, of fear, and of the human spirit facing the unknown. The dark truth behind the music remains one of rock history's greatest, most unsettling mysteries. If you are fascinated by the hidden secrets and dark moments of music history that the mainstream refuses to acknowledge, you must subscribe right now. There are many more stories buried in the shadows, and the next one we uncover is even darker than this.